Hey there everybody, David Shapiro here with another video about Raven. Today's topic is going to be context augmentation. Now what do I mean by context augmentation? So first, here's an example of an existing context. This is just a basic context. I've used it as a test case for validation and research purposes. It says Alexander is a 5-year-old child. He is playing with building blocks, but the blocks continue to fall over and he's becoming upset. Now he is angry and has thrown several of his blocks. So given that context, you can imagine any number of possibilities. Maybe he's hungry, maybe he's tired, maybe he's had issue with building blocks in the past and they're not his favorite toy. Just right off the cuff, as a human with, years of experience, you might imagine those possibilities. Natural language technologies that have been trained on lots of data can imagine those possibilities too. So now, the first example of a augmented context is this one imagines what it'll be like once I finish the recall service. So for background, the recall service is something that dredges up or keeps track of old memories, so previous experiences. Remembering previous experiences is critical for intelligence because it's one of the primary ways that we learn, but it also speaks to better behavior in the future. So the augmented context with recall, which I've got highlighted now, says Alexander is a 5-year-old child. He is playing with building blocks, but the blocks continue to fall over, so on and so forth. Now he is angry. And then it adds, Alexander has struggled with building blocks in the past because he is behind in fine motor development. Alexander's mother, Rose, has a series of exercises she can do with Alexander to help him practice fine motor skills. So with that augmentation, with just 3 additional sentences, it completely changes the meaning of this context. It also changes the actions that you might take. So now, instead of assuming that maybe Alexander has behavior issues or maybe he's hungry and tired, now you actually you remember what his frustrations are. And it also proposes a possible exercise. So say, for instance, let's say Alexander's mother is available. Now the action that you should take, rather than asking him if he's hungry or tired, should actually be to fetch his mother and ask her if she has time to do those fine motor skill exercises with him. Again, completely changes once you change the context, it changes the actions you should take, and it also changes any moral or ethical evaluations you might make. So the last one is, let's assume that Raven has no prior experience with Raven and has no memories of him to recall up. Another type of context augmentation is going to be encyclopedic augmentation, and that is where you use the original context, you read it, and then you find relevant information. So the key points about the original context is that Alexander is a child and that he's angry. And it's actually pretty easy to extract those keywords through keyword extraction in NLP and NLU today. So what I did was I went to Google and I just searched angry child, and the first link that came up was a Yale article about anger in children. And so I augmented this context with some of that information. So I added multiple factors can contribute to a particular child's struggles with anger, irritability, and aggression, behavior that can cause harm to oneself or another. And since Alexander is throwing blocks, he could easily hurt someone. So this technically counts as angry, irritable, or aggressive behavior. So one common trigger is frustration when a child cannot get what he or she wants or is asked to do something that he or she might not feel like doing. For children, anger issues often accompany other mental health conditions, including ADHD, autism, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and Tourette syndrome. Genetics and other biological factors are thought to play a role in anger and aggression. Environment is a contributor as well. Trauma, family dysfunction, and certain parenting styles, such as harsh and inconsistent punishment, also make it more likely that a child will exhibit anger or aggression that interferes with his or her daily life. So, with all that said, I wanted to go ahead and plug these in to Raven and show you how Raven will change. So let's go ahead and start with this first context. So you see it's here. So let me add, let's see, we'll start with actions, which should generate 3 actions. So we've got Alexander should throw his blocks away and stop playing with them. Maybe that's not the best idea, but this is just an off-the-cuff example. Alexander should apologize to his parents. Yeah, he should say he was frustrated and needs to calm down. That's a great action that Alexander could take. Alexander's parents should give him a hug and tell him they love him. Oh man, that one is perfect. This one is absolutely perfect. This is my favorite one so far. Okay, so and keep in mind, these 3 actions were generated entirely by neural network. I gave it no training data to come up with those ideas. All right, so let's stop the action generator and start core objective function 1. So it'll evaluate those. And say, first one, he should throw his blocks away. It might reduce his suffering. Alexander is upset, but the blocks are not causing him any harm. And his parents can help him calm down. Yes, all good. Okay, great. So then we'll do core objective function 2, see what it says. And I might not do the core objective functions for the subsequent ones because the key here is to show the different actions that come up depending on the contexts. So let's see. Core objective function 2, negative, positive, and positive. Yep, because it would increase. It says core objective function 2 in response to his parents should give him a hug. This action would increase prosperity by increasing the happiness of the child. Absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop that. Now what I'm going to do is put in the second one. So this second context is the one where we added in recall. So this imagines that Alexander has specific developmental issues that are known and have a particular treatment. So we'll submit that and we'll see it's down here, context new. So this is an example of Raven's stream of consciousness where Raven can keep track of different ideas or different problems, different contexts, one after the other. And you see how it has a unique UUID? That allows Raven to keep track of different threads of thought. So anyways, now that we've got this new context, let's see what actions are generated. So we'll go ahead and hit start, go back to Nexus. Let's see, Alexander should give his blocks a rest for a while. Great. Alexander should take a break from playing with the blocks, or he should find new blocks to play with. So this is not ideal. I do want to add the caveat that I switched to a different GPT-3 engine. I switched to Curie, which is a little bit less creative. And so still not a bad idea. It still kind of acknowledges like, okay, he struggles with building blocks. So 2 of these suggestions say maybe he just needs to take a break from the blocks. It doesn't pick up on the fact that the recall service has proposed another action, right? I suppose if I added in that Alexander's mother is available, it might have figured that out. Or if I used a more sophisticated neural network. But even still, these are a little bit more consistent. You'll notice with the longer context, it says, okay, clearly he's got an issue. Maybe he should take a break. I'm still really happy with this. Although I will say that Alexander's parents should give him a hug and tell him they love him is by far the best action I've ever seen this generate. Okay, so let's go back to the context. And we'll put in the very last context, the one that it talks about childhood anger and abuse. So I have no idea what this is going to generate. But we'll go ahead and submit that. We'll see it's down here. And so we've got a really long context that has been thoroughly augmented. The action service is still running. So let's see. Alexander should be provided with a safe space where he can express his anger without being punished. Phenomenal. That is perfect. Alexander's parents should learn how to recognize the signs of anger in their child. Perfect. Alexander's parents should learn how to respond to their child's anger appropriately. Perfect. So, this is phenomenal. This is great. This is the best possible result I could hope for. By adding the context, by augmenting the context, you can see that these action generators get better. They provide better, more salient actions. And also, once you have better actions and augmented contexts that will add both historical information as well as encyclopedic information, then you will get better results. So I'm over the moon right now. I think you can tell. This is great. I was having a discussion with an ethics professor, and he proposed some of these kind of caveats and cases and challenged me. He's like, "How are you going to handle all these edge cases? Excuse me. How are you going to handle all these edge cases?" And I said, "Context augmentation." And then I was like, "Why don't I just demonstrate it? I don't have to prove it theoretically. I've got it." So here it is. And now my next steps are going to be to make sure that the context augmentation happens completely automatically, completely programmatically. And there we go. That's it. So anyways, thanks for watching.